Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
Alina.
My name is Ernesto.
I'm Sam, and we're doing the corporate social responsibility of Microsoft versus Apple.
Overview of the Apple CSR is there's a corporate social responsibility annual report. Areas of focus are supplier responsibility, labor and human rights, health, safety and wellness, education and professional development, environment, supplier performance, and development. The mission is to leave our world better than we found it. Stakeholders include employees, customers/consumers, investors, advisory councils, supplier, employee, media, civil society, and governments and NGOs. Some key points of Apple is resilience and adaptability throughout the pandemic to deepen visibility and understanding of social and environmental footprints, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to pursue innovative sourcing practices.
So Apple takes action in their approach as seen here with their Impact Accelerator, which empowers Black and Brown owned businesses addressing environmental challenges. They have 100% renewable energy sources for all Apple facilities. And they have a carbon neutral corporate operations. And so these just all play into effect with their high standards. And then their strong partnerships with other companies aid their mission. So their environmental impact is that in 2020, they began the fight against climate change. Apple became carbon neutral using more recycled materials. For example, the MacBook Air is used of 40% recycled materials. They have 4 gigawatts of online renewable energy. And then in 2019, they launched their Impact Accelerator, like we talked about before, which is Racial Equity and Justice Initiative. They invested in creating green technology and clean power in minority-owned businesses. Then on top of all of this, all of the Apple stores, offices, and data centers are run on 100% renewable energy.
Some programs for Apple include the Global Volunteer Program, and this program was launched in 2011 to help employees in local communities. Over $78 million have been donated to charities and nonprofits around the world, as well as Product Red. This is a program when customers buy a Red product, Apple will contribute that money to the Global Fund, and those donations are used to support HIV and AIDS programs. These programs will use the money to fund counseling, testing, and medications.
So for our second company, okay, I thought I was muted, my bad. We can edit that out. For our second company, we chose Microsoft compared to Apple. And here's an overview of Microsoft's CSR efforts. Every year, they release an annual CSR report where they convey data and results for all the key publics and stake shareholders to see. Their areas of focus include inclusive economic opportunities, fundamental rights protections, a sustainable future, earn trust for their key publics and consumers, and to empower employees. The mission of the company is to serve globally the needs of communities and fulfill the responsibilities to the public. Stakeholders include international government organizations, non-governmental organizations, otherwise known as NGOs, employees, customers, investors, communities, suppliers, industry coalitions, and public-private partnerships, as well as policymakers. Microsoft's objectives include to earn and sustain the trust of its consumers and shareholders, work with stakeholders, identify material issues, promote accessibility and inclusion, empower communities, maintain ethical practices, advocate for human rights, and respect and defend privacy.
So Microsoft's approach is that they get a lot of outside perspectives from stakeholders of all levels, and then they share their learnings and practices, which generates industry dialogue. It informs public debate, and it advances greater progress. They also have a regulatory and public policy committee and corporate governance. So the environmental impact of Microsoft is that they've been carbon neutral since 2012, and they're committed to being carbon negative by 2030. They promote sustainable development globally with their cloud-enabled technologies and sustainable business practices. They also emphasize recycling and conservation. So they have recycling programs for all of their products, and they prioritize the use of recycled and renewable materials in their work. They also responsibly source raw materials and ensure their collaborations meet their high standards. And lastly, they acknowledge the threat of water scarcity. So they have plans to create and employ tools to address scarcity and pollution, and they have a commitment to the ocean's overall health.
Some programs for Microsoft include Microsoft Education, and this is a program that allows students and teachers access of Office 365 for free, including Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Teams. And this benefits students and schools to provide for a better education, as well as Microsoft Disability Answer Desk. And this is a program to keep designing and providing technical support for Windows and Office to persons with disabilities to make and maintain the accessibility of technology for everybody.
So which company has the better CSR program? So Apple's external CSR has faced some problems. They've had to rebuild their reputation because of things like poor working conditions. They have a lack of stakeholder engagement and a low level of transparency. So we believe that Microsoft has a better corporate social responsibility program. And so some of the reasons for this is that Microsoft consistently ranks far above Apple in their CSR efforts because they have better environmental, social governance, and economic efforts. They have a better climate strategy and take more action. They also have more social initiatives. So on top of all of this, Microsoft's internal efforts greatly outweigh their competitors.
How does Microsoft communicate these efforts? Well, they post or they share annual CSR reports on their website, and they post press releases for any major announcement and specific minor updates. So for full transparency, they have dedicated web pages for both these reports and press releases. They prioritize accessibility, so it's easy to locate reports. And their main goal is to leverage its capability to serve a need as opposed to simply writing a check.
So as far as our suggestions, what we did was we created a fictitious company we're calling Ease. This would be a tech company that would theoretically be a competitor at the size of both Apple and Microsoft. For the sake of the presentation, we'll assume it's a global organization that produces both hardware and software and functions in many facets of the tech industry. Ease could theoretically be a hybrid of Apple's user friendliness and Microsoft's customization. So the CSR of both Apple and Microsoft are strongest in their environmental contributions as well as their DEI initiatives. However, we can improve and expand upon these as well as address some social issues. A two-pronged approach to our CSR strategy could both set our company apart from Apple and Microsoft while tackling some legitimate issues head on. So first, the environmental factors that we could deal with. We could do a major initiative to call attention and proactively help solve the problem of e-waste being dumped into third world nations. These countries are heavily impacted both environmentally and socially by this issue, with improper disposal being destructive to the environment and highly dangerous to the people involved. Our initiative could include the building of proper disposal facilities, as well as training a force to run them. And this should also include a sustained effort to undo damage that has already been done to the soil and water supply. As far as some diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, our company could do some powerful things in the tech world. Both Apple and Microsoft focus heavily on maintaining a diverse workforce. However, there's still enormous gains that need to be made. A focus on creating and providing opportunities in STEM education within marginalized communities would go a long way. Often public schools get overlooked regarding extracurricular activities due to a lack of funding. An initiative targeting fun and creative STEM education would bolster educational opportunities in the short term and help expand diversity in the tech world long term. One of the ways we would promote this is, as we've learned in the SOJC, good storytelling and oftentimes repetition leaves long-lasting messages. Our branding should use an image or slogan that encompasses our initiatives and standards. This should be coupled with well-produced and easily accessible profiles that could be distributed through our website or through YouTube profiles, our YouTube channel, excuse me. In the case of stores that sell our products, our advertising should consistently reinforce these initiatives and values. Brands that develop a reputation for ethical contribution tend to have that follow them for a very long time. So in closing, both Apple and Microsoft make great contributions towards corporate social responsibility. However, companies of this size with the resources available to them can always do more.
Continued initiatives that target the environment and issues surrounding social justice are more important now than ever in our current global climate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.